Welcome along, everybody, to the 3AW podcast, whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube. To preview the season, I've got a couple of the all-time greats of the game, Richo and Joel Selwood. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, Matty. Thanks for having us in.
Great to be here. We're going to preview the season in a moment, but I thought we'd just start with touching and dedicating to Dennis Cometti, who has passed away. Richo, he would have called a lot of great moments of you two, but you actually worked with him, Richo, at Channel 7 over the journey.
Yeah, you pinch yourself, actually, that you've worked with the great man, because when you have a look at it, probably in our game, you look at McAvaney and Cometti as those two sort of icons of calling the game, and it wasn't just footy with Dennis or Bruce. You know, they covered a lot of sports, cricket with Dan, and he did swimming at the Olympics. And, yeah, to be able to work with him after I finished playing in the commentary box, you actually would walk in there and sort of pinch yourself and go, geez, I'm calling a game with Dennis Cometti here. It was a little bit I'm not worthy sort of stuff. But, yeah, you learned a lot just watching the way he prepared for a game, just meticulous preparation and just the way he was able to then call the game so professionally. And I think universally admired by all of the players as well that he called over the years. I know when he'd call a game that you played in and you watched it back, you sort of got pretty stoked when Dennis called your name. So, yeah, just a legend, Joel.
I remember one of those quite clearly, Richo. It was the Tom Hawkins goal against Hawthorn after the siren. And it was, they've done it again. They've done it again. And, I mean, I've watched it over and over many a times, but it made the moment. You know, he just was able to encapsulate that picture beautifully.
Yeah.
What about working with him in those quirky little one-liners he had? Yeah. So did he have them written down when you're sitting next to him? How'd that all work?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of them were probably prepared, but I guess it was his ability to sit on them and wait for that perfect moment. So, yeah, clearly a lot of them were prepared, but yeah, you hear stories that perhaps Dan would sit on them for months and months until that moment in the game arose where he could use one of the perfect Cometti-isms, as we call them, and then he would just seamlessly go into it like he'd thought of it right there and then. So I'm sure he did think of a lot of them there and then as well, but just his ability to get them in and seamlessly, it was just incredible how he did that.
And just a beautiful voice as well, isn't it? I mean, to call the footy, I think that's the first thing. If you've got a good voice, easy on the ear, and he was just smooth.
Yeah, well, he's got that radio voice, hasn't he? That DJ voice. And Matty, as you talked off air earlier, he started as a radio DJ, and I think that was his first love. So he had a perfect voice for it as well.
All right, let's preview the season. A lot to talk about. We'll go through every team, but before we do, just give us a team each that you can't quite get a handle on. We'll start with you, Joel, that you're looking at. I can't quite know whether they're going to be good or not good, fair. Who's your team?
Well, mine's probably not good or not so good. Mine is, are they going to be good or are they going to be very good? And that's the Fremantle Dockers for me. They've just got the players in the right age bracket at the right time. So I'm thinking those key guys through the middle, Brayshaw, Sarong, that obviously lead that group. Alex Pearce, who's the ball down back that has them all under control and sets them ahead of the ball. But we just like to see him play with that free spirit, get the Shea Boltons involved in the game, make sure that they've got speed on the ball, because when I've seen the Dockers play at their best, that's what they've had.
When they go for it, Richo, I mean, they look great, don't they? And as Joel said, they don't want for much at all.
Yeah, and I think it's probably been when the game sort of looks like it's getting out of control, they then go quick. We'd like to see that all of the time, and they've got the personnel to do it, as Joel said, with Bolton and all those quick guys, Frederick and Switkowski and those guys up forward that connect the forward line up. They have got the pace there to do it, so just get a bit bolder with their movement, and yeah, they should be a really good team.
Who's your team?
The Baggers, they're back. Just ask their supporter base, Joel, after they beat the Geelong Football Club after the community game. I bumped into a lot of Blues supporters in the northern suburbs of Melbourne.
Grand final tickets.
And they're already there. They've got the tickets booked. So, no, it'll be interesting to see how the Blues go. Obviously, they've lost some key position players, but you never know, it might be a blessing. But if I'm looking at it seriously, I'm probably going the Western Bulldogs. I know they're a good team, and they didn't play finals last year, just missing out. They won the 14 games. That's stiff. But I'm just still worried about them defensively. They're so good. They spend time in forward half. They just knock you down with their ability to win the footy and then hold on to it, keep going inside 50. But if you can absorb that, you can get them back the other way, and defensively not so strong. And I don't know whether they've really addressed that. Rory Lobb did a good job last year, and O'Donnell, probably had to play a little bit taller at times, but I'm still concerned about that. So can they, as Joel said, can they be good or great? Can they be top four? They haven't done it under Bevo, obviously, getting into that top four when you look at their list and think they can. So I just want the Dogs to really go for it this year while you've got Darcy and these guys, and you've got Bontempelli still in his peak. They should be a top four team.
Hey, Joel, just on Carlton, what should the supporters' expectation be of them? Because the last couple of years, after what they did in 23, they're thinking flags. But, I mean, a lot of change, Curnow out, they've rolled a few new coaching group. What should be a pass mark or a win if you're realistic as a Blues supporter?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Matty, because they've obviously reset to a certain degree too. Making the decision that Charlie Curnow's not going to be there. So the reset on what's going to happen over the next period of time. We've seen already throughout the practice games of Jagger Smith and Dean come in, and they're going to be big for the future. They got Andrew Walker's son next year, Cody, come into the system too. So they've prepared really well for this period. This is not what they want to hear, but it's maybe in 2 or 3 years' time that they're actually setting themselves up for. But these periods where they can set up some silos in the ground and, move forward into the next period is really important. And you just hope that they're thereabouts when Paddy Cripps is still going really well, because that's the danger. You can't have him playing his best footy still and getting bruised whilst, they're not a contender. So do I expect them to be in the top 10? I think they're in that sort of wild card window, but I'm not quite sure.
You got Wiedering there still. He's a bit like Cripps.
True.
And I think the other one that's interesting is Big Harry up forward. His best year was the year that Charlie Curnow only played 4 games. He actually operated better without Charlie there. So perhaps Harry can have a good year this year.
All right, let's start with the Adelaide Crows. Richo and Joel, they've made a prelim. Not the best final series. Obviously, Isaac Rankin was a big loss for them in that series, and then they start the season with a couple of players out. So, how are you looking at the Adelaide Crows?
Oh, I think they definitely play finals again. Can they finish on top and get the double chance in 2 home finals again? That's going to be tough, I suspect. Rankin is the player that they need out there for most of the year, for all of the year. He's that X factor. He can go through centre bounce. I think one of their issues is they've got some really good solid midfielders, but the way the game's going now, and particularly with the new ruck rule, I think you need guys that can explode out of the middle of the ground, and he's the guy that can do that. He can be a weapon. This year, Thilthorpe's, he's a phenom up forward. And down back, they're really solid. We know Mark Keane went down, though. He was so good last year. They definitely play finals. I can see them not being top 4. They could make top 4, but definitely play finals.
Yeah, so minor premiers last year, and then going out in straight sets is a real bruise to the ego, I reckon. Probably mistimed the season a little bit and how they wanted to hit the finish line. The challenge for them is to pick themselves up. They went looking for that midfielder a couple of years ago, and Clayton Oliver was sort of their man, and then they went away from it. I still think that they're missing one big, strong mid to help out Jordan Dawson throughout the middle.
Yeah, it's Dawson or bust sometimes. There,
yeah, I mean, he's a star, and the other guys, they get the job done in there, but there's probably not that A-grader other than Dawson in the midfield. Rankin's sort of a mid-forward.
So we're going alphabetical order. We go with Brisbane, the 2-time flag winners, Joel. I mean, they are just a powerhouse, aren't they?
Yeah, we expect them to get better again off what they've been able to bring in. You think of Draper and Oscar Allen, and then what they were able to do in the draft too. They've picked up another kid through the academy system and in the top 5. So expect them to be thereabouts. We've seen a little bit of the fallout though. Starcevic going to the Eagles and Archie going to Adelaide. So the time's coming where they're going to have to start reinventing the wheel a little bit with these players that are going out. But for now, they're the ones on top that everyone else is chasing, and there's no reason why they shouldn't start the season well again and, be the ones that everyone's chasing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see them winning it again. I can, and there's no reason why they can't. They're so young still. I mean, they're 2 key forwards. I know they've gone and got Oscar Allen, but Gallup and Morris, got a guy who's played 6 games. He's already a premiership player. Morris kicked 50 goals last year. And it's their fleet of sort of small half forwards that I like. And Lincoln McCarthy, who you know so well, Joel, he comes back into the equation. He looked really good against the Suns in the community games. So you got Rayner and Cameron still got his pace, and Zach Bailey's an absolute A-grade All-Australian player. Now they can roll through centre bounce, the Ashcroft brothers. McCluggage is at his peak. Dunkley's still playing well. Lachie Neale doesn't seem to get, slow down. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just hunger for me. Can they stay hungry?
The thing with them too, Joel, when you win a flag, injury and luck comes into it. But they had injuries last year.
They did, yeah.
Well,
You talked about Link McCarthy. You talk about Kitty Coleman,
Jack
Payne. They lose,
Ainsworth.
and they still win it.
Yeah, I mean that's a part of this season going forward too for the Lions. Like they have not only played in the last 3 grand finals, but they've also been a part of the final series for a long period of time. So it does bruise you over a period of time, and that's probably what 17 other clubs are hoping right now, that you've just got to catch them on that right day. But they've just been better and well organised, and they've been led by the players within too really well to be ready for those moments, even when they have struggled. And we think of the first grand final they win, and they're up in the semi-final against the GWS down by 40 points, and the belief that they got out of that. And now they can think that they can win from any situation, which is just a beautiful asset to have.
We've been through Carlton, Collingwood. I want to ask you this, Joel, because you've lived it. A lot have written them off because they're too old. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've lived that at Geelong. You guys were written off a lot because of that. It reminds me a little bit of going into 22. They played in the prelim last year. You played in the prelim in 21. The narrative was too old, got to reset, got to go back to the draft. What about Collingwood this year? Are they in the same boat, do you think?
Well, they are in the same boat from that point of view. And you have, they've decided to be really brave, like the Cats of 2021 going to 22. But the challenge is that you've got to have a lot of players improve at a rapid rate. So that they would be looking at that within. We've already heard from this week coming up in the opening round that a couple of their more experienced players will be sat out. So you take no risk throughout the year. You've got to stay the course of the time. It'll just be interesting how long you can do that for when the wins and losses come into the scenario. The Geelong side of 22 was quite lucky that we were chugging away wins whilst suspension was playing a bit of a toll, and injury at certain stages to, you think of Dangerfield back then, giving him enough time off to be ready at the correct right time. So the wins and losses do come into it at the end of the day. So it doesn't say that they shouldn't not be there. As you said, prelim final last year, so they have the side that ready to go, and any side with the Nick Daicos in it. I know we shouldn't just concentrate on one player, but he's the best player in the league right now, and he'll draw a lot of attention, but for good reason.
And Josh is pretty good as well.
Oh, yeah, two stars to Daicos boys. Look, most experienced team, oldest team, and there's that old saying, Father Time is undefeated. So it's going to get them at some point. Might be this year, it might be next year, but it can hit you pretty quickly in your mid-30s. So that's the watch for me. If they still can contribute at a higher level, your side bottoms and Pendles and all of these guys, then, they'll be there again competing come September. Little concern in the forward line. Myercheck was a warrior, a servant. His work rate was huge. He brought the ball to ground. It suited their game style for those smaller forwards. So he's gone. Membry's 32, 33. Mason Cox, I know he didn't play a lot last year. He's gone. So, you've got a lot falling onto probably Dan McStay, who's been injured and probably hasn't quite played as well as they would have liked. Jamie Elliott's 34. So I'm just a little bit worried about the forward line. But if they all stay fit and healthy, they can be there again.
Bombers, back to the draft. Disappointing couple of years. Where do you see them finishing?
Well, their injury list was extraordinary last
never
year.
seen one like
Nah,
that.
you hadn't. And what was it in the end? I think 13 debutants throughout the year.
A record, AFL record.
Yeah, which is quite amazing. So hats off to them putting a side out at times. And then, the growth that those players will get through a little bit of experience comes into having a better year this year. But, yeah, I mean, they need Parrish and Ridley, these guys back at their best to really get big improvements. But I do like what they've done, especially with Tasmania coming in the next couple of years. They've been able to reset. They've got into the draft where they've needed to. And, I mean, for the years to come, the Essendon Footy Club will be fine. It's just how long that grind will be for them, I think.
Yeah, I just think it's a year of getting games into young players now. I don't think they feature in the finals. I know with the wild card now, you never know. You have a good year and get to 11, 12 wins, you might sneak in there. So, yeah, just keep playing Caddy and get Kako up for, get him going and the younger players that they have. I think Parrish can be a bit of a comeback player this year. He's looked pretty solid over the summer. Their midfield's pretty good when you look at Durham and Caldwell and Zach Merritt. That's their strength area. Get Zach Reid and Ridley fit down back. I don't think that they finish bottom 2 or 3, but I'm not sure if they can push up to wild card round.
Your Cats, okay. Let's talk about them. Grand finalists last year, smacked in the grand final. They had Warple. Tanner Bruin comes back. They've still got a very good list. I mean, they've still got quite a good midfield and pretty not an old list. They've got some good young players, good mid sort of range.
Oh, Matty, they've still got some
players.
old boys there. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, they've got old
not
boys.
too far behind me in age, so don't let them get away with it. I had to cop it for long enough, but you do speak of those players, Bruin, and you put Ollie Henry in there, guys that they would now really want impact out of, sort of 5, 6, 7 years within the system, and they should be playing consistently good footy too. They've been a bit not a bit lucky, but Connor O'Sullivan comes in year 2, and he looks like that he's going to be a 250, 300 game player already. So it's nice to find some along the way. The challenge is going late into the season and being bruised so heavily in that grand final, but with living in the system of Chris Scott for a long period of time, it's not water off a duck's back, but it's just like, boys, we move on. We've got a new season, whether we win well or lose well. We've got to get on with it, and the season's upon us really quickly, and you got to be ready from the start. And these, I don't think they'll be playing their best footy at the start of the year. Just getting everyone back at different periods. Will that we see Paddy Dangerfield this week? I'm not sure just yet. By the sounds of it, not. But they, again, when speaking about Collingwood, will take no risk with certain players at periods of time. So just trust the system that they'll be there and good enough when the time's to come.
Yeah, I mean, Joel knows better than me, but yeah, Geelong are going to be there. You look across all of their lines and, there's superstars on every line. I love their high half forwards, Myers and Manor and Stengo. I know he's had a bit of time off, but if they get him back and Close, they kick it so well inside 50. Jez is there. Young star down back, and O'Sullivan. I think he looked a real player last year. They're going to be there. They manage the stars right and get them going, as Joel said. Who knows? It could be another grand final, but they're not missing the finals.
Now, Gold Coast. Interested in Gold Coast, Richo, because we talked about Brisbane. Well, they're second favourites to win the flag at the moment, Gold Coast. Are you in the boat that you have to be hanging around for a while, lose a few finals over a number of years to have a run at it? Can they win one final, their very first final of their history one year, and then go and actually win the flag the next?
I don't know about winning the flag. I certainly think they play finals. One thing, they've got a draw this year that is a lot harder than last year. They played, some of the bottom teams like Richmond, West Coast twice last year, and that gave them some wins. So by playing and winning a final, your draw automatically is a lot harder. So get away to a good start. It's going to be the key to them. Matty Rao won't be there for the first few weeks, but the one area where they look unbelievable is in the centre square. Jared Witts is a great ruckman, had more hit-outs than anyone last year and to advantage. And they've got 3 of the top 10 centre clearance players in the comp from last year. Anderson and Rao were 2 and 3. And they've added Petrarca in there, who was didn't have a great year. Everyone thought Petrarca still was number 7 for centre clearances. So imagine that combination in there. And with the new ruck rule, I can see them dominating out of the middle. So, they'll play finals. Are they second favourites? I probably wouldn't have had them there. Ballard comes back in, down back, and they've added Jamara. Who knows? He's the X factor. We don't know what we're going to get there, but he's a number 1 pick. So they're in good shape. I don't think they're winning the flag, though.
Yeah, definitely worth the risk, though, when we talk about Jamara, backed in their system, that they can, give him a real good shot at another chance at the level, and he can be such an X factor, and he may be that player on those biggest days that you need, and they'll train him up, whether he's ready to take his opportunities, all up to the individual now, and for his sake, hopefully he is.
And they've got Bailey Humphrey, who looks a star too. He can go centre bounce, so they're stacked. They're stacked.
GWS, Joel, they've been smacked around by injury.
Yeah, they have.
Do you reckon Adam Kingsley likes State of Origin at the moment with Sam Taylor?
I mean, it seems like a big hamstring, but hopefully for him, doesn't miss too much time. Look, the Giants, I reckon they're going to be a hard one to read this year. It's another hard draw. They're on the road a lot. they should improve again, but then you see the injury toll.
Tom Green.
Yeah, Tom Green.
With the ACL.
Yeah, Daniels is going to be out for the first part of the year.
Cadman, I saw got a little issue. So
yeah.
it just worries me. You've got these big names on each line, and Tom Green's the one, I think, in the middle. You can't replace what he brings. He's 6'4" and most contested possessions in the comp just about last year. So early, it could be a bit of hard work for them until they get everyone back. I think if they can hang around and then get Taylor and these guys back, they'll be all right. But it's whether they can hang around early.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Hawthorn, we talked about being around the mark for a couple of years. They have done that, haven't they, Joel? They've been thereabouts last couple of years, haven't been able to make the grand final. Can they take that next couple of steps?
Well, they should, Matty, but and I don't read too much into pre-season games, but yeah, I mean, they haven't been ready for these two that they've played early in the season. You know, the one against Geelong was a run around out of Dingley, but then when they come up against the Dogs, you would think that, you know, playing the next week in opening round, that they'd want to put out a better performance than what they have. So a bit of a hard read on the Hawks. I definitely think that they should be looking at that top 4 spot, but it doesn't take too much to go wrong for it to spiral pretty quickly. So they'd want to be on their game early. And, you know, we saw last year going hard after Zach Merritt. They probably understand that they're missing someone in there. They haven't got Will Day to start the year. John Newcombe probably a bit lucky to play this week, I think, off the back of the getting off the suspension. But I still think that the Hawks, just through the middle of the ground, might need something else.
Yeah, I think that they know that, and everyone can see that with the whole Merritt thing last year. Will Day's the one. Just how long's he going to be out? I think they look pretty good up forward, but you know that Mitch Lewis has been injured. Hasn't had the continuity. Cal Shadir looks a real star. Jack Gunston is unbelievable what he did last year.
And we can't expect any more out of him.
But you can't expect more there. So that'd be my little question mark. Defensively, really sound. Sam Mitchell's got them coached so well, the way they sort of lengthen out the ground with those high half forwards. So I think their coaching and the talent they've got there, they'll be winning enough games. It's just getting Will Day back and going as to whether they can be top 4 or push for a premiership.
Let's whiz through a few. We're just running short on time. Melbourne and North Melbourne, we'll do them together. So let's start with the Demons.
Yeah, wasn't expecting a lot, but Stephen King, Joel's old teammate, I really respected him as an assistant coach and thought he did well when he took over at the Suns. He looks to have had a real impact just on their game style early. So I think they can probably surprise. An amazing shift at that club with now Stephen May gone, along with Petrarca and Oliver. So it's a new era, new culture. Who knows? They could be a surprise packet. They're still relatively experienced if you look at age and games, but not expecting them to feature in finals, but you never know. Could be a surprise.
It's one of those teams, I reckon, just got a bit stale in what they were doing day to day. So the energy kick that Stephen's obviously given them has been a huge boost. And I mean, we see the Pickett combo, which I think we're all going to look forward to.
North, a little worried about their pre-season?
Well, I mean, we haven't seen enough, but we expect to see a fair bit in the first month of footy. They've got some winnable games within the first month. If they could get through 3-1, it's probably the pass mark. Anything less than, it's a hard draw after that. Yeah. So they've really got to focus in now.
Yeah, good, strong midfield group. You know, they can really win clearance. They can get beaten the other way. So got to tighten up defensively on transition. Forward line with their new captain Larkey and Zerha and Darling down there and a few other young players. Curtis really improved last year, but still a bit worried down back. They've got to tidy up down there. I feel like they might have to play a little bit more one-on-one than zone. They got lost last year. But, yeah, I think improvement, if they could get up to 6, 7, 8 games, I think they'd be reasonably happy with that.
Port Adelaide with a new coach.
Yeah,
Joel, what's that usually do?
I think they'll be fine. Early in the year, I had a look at their draw this morning, and I've got them going 5-0 to start the year. And it's off the back of Butters, Hall, Francis and Rosé, obviously, but all ready to go, all fit. I know they played Eagles in their last practice game, which is a developing side, but Georgiades down forward, Marshall hopefully back to his best. I just think that they'll shock a few with where they'll be at.
Yeah, I think pretty good summary there. While you've got those superstars in the middle of the ground, you're going to be thereabouts. Injury really got them as well last year. Trying Marshall down back, I don't mind that. You've still got Lear and Radigalia down there. Georgiades is a star up forward. So if they pushed and could play wild card, I probably see that as probably their limit. But yeah, it looks like he's got them playing a different brand car, that's for sure.
What about your Tigers, Richo?
Probably tread a bit of water. I'd suggest that the thing that would disappoint for Richmond at the moment is 3 of their best draft picks over the last 2 years, the first round picks, aren't going to be out there maybe all year, and Houghton might get out there later in the year. They haven't seen Smiley yet at all from last year. Now he's injured again, and they've already lost their first pick coming this year, the number 7 pick. So just get games into the guys when they can, and if they could tread water, I feel like 27 and 28, they can start to move up.
Let's move on to St Kilda, one of the real interesting ones. They've they've got some big games and names in. Joel, spent some money. They're going for it.
Yeah, and they have to go for it. And they're 12th last year, so the climb should be there for them with what they've brought in. The new ruck rule, we haven't spoken about it yet, but this is one that obviously TDK should really take advantage of and should take his game to the next level. If there was a rule set up for anyone, it's him. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in there. Got Flanders down from the Gold Coast too. So 2 really big inclusions, I reckon, and then the others would sort of just join in the dots and pieces to make them a stronger and more physical side. So I think they've got some really good players within too, Boxall and players that we don't know a lot about. But they should climb this ladder. And a game against Collingwood this Sunday night is the stage that they want to start being on.
Could they climb to actually challenge to win it?
I don't know, challenge to win it, win a final. I think they could do that. I just watched Naz go around late last year. He had 40 and kick 4 in the Community Series game. That guy has got more gears to go to. Windhager, I think, is a really good player. They'd be happy they've re-signed him for 5 years. So I think the improvement for them can actually come from guys that are already there, along with the guys they picked up. Definitely play finals, definitely could win a final. As far as getting top 4 and winning it, I don't know at this stage. But with Wanganeen Miller out there, anything can happen.
Sydney Swans, Joel, they get Charlie. They had injuries last year, so and they didn't make the 8. Can they go from being injured, not making the 8, to getting Charlie and actually winning it?
Yep, they could. They've had Dean Cox come in, late November last year too, so didn't really get to set up a program and drive it all through the preseason period too. So him being in the driver's seat for a longer period of time, and then just the health too. So Errol Goulding may be the most important player to that Swans outfit 100%. And him getting his hands on the ball. So I've got him, it shouldn't be a smoky for the Brownlow, but he is that type of player that attracts, the umpire's eye. So they should be thereabouts come the end of the year. They've been on that sort of stage before where they've got close enough. Charlie might be the missing piece.
Well, they played in a granny, didn't they, 2 years ago and missed out last. So, they could get back to a granny. You got Heaney and Goulden and Warner in the midfield. You're adding Curnow in. Don't forget, Logan McDonald didn't play last year. So all of a sudden you got 2 new key forwards down there, and Amadi and McLean are still there as well. So there's depth in the forward line. They're back, McCartan down back and Blakey down back. They're solid. They can really climb the ladder. They definitely play finals. They're the comeback team.
Finally, West Coast. You just want a bit of improvement, don't you?
Yeah, you do. But, it wasn't a great first outing. I know they're very, very young. They're the youngest team in the comp for age and games. So they're like Richmond. They've just got to keep getting games into these young kids, and there's some super young talent coming in with Duff Tyler and Dersma, the number 1 pick. So get games in. Another year under McQualter's system. He's gone for the Damien Hardwick chaos and handball meters gained. The only problem is they turn it over and it's whooshka back the other way. So they've just got to keep working on that system, and it's a development year, of course.
And we've done the Western Bulldogs. All right, let's get some tips. Joel, will start.
Do any of these ever come off?
Well, we'll keep them.
Hold us to account.
We're going to revisit them later in the year.
We'll have a look later.
We'll start with your Premier. Who you got?
I'll go the Western Bulldogs. Yeah, I think that they'll be back. A bit like what Richo said. I think they've got the pieces to the puzzle. So If it's not now, then when for them? They've just got to set themselves up right to finish in the top 4 to give themselves a shot.
Richo?
Yeah, I said Hawthorn in all of the other places I've been asked to
change your
do
mind.
this,
Gotta spread it.
but I'm already nervous about it. I'm not confident, but the reason I did it is I think Sam Mitchell has just got something special as a coach. I think he's super innovative and switched on, and he's got a great structure, and they're hard to score against. They force turnovers. Not quite all the pieces there. The list not as good as other teams, but I've picked them. We'll see how they go.
Brownlow medalist?
Well, I think Nick Daicos. But yeah, as I said before, maybe Errol will come up. Just maybe more wins might get him there in the end.
I think I've gone for Bont every year for the last 5 years, and if anyone deserves a Brownlow medal, it's Marcus Bontempelli.
I worry about him, Richo, because I saw Ed Richards up close in that state
good,
game, and
Taking
I
votes.
just reckon he's going to take votes now. And there's no one more that wants a Brownlow for Bont too, but Ed Richards is going to steal
How
some.
good's Ed Richards, by the way?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Rising star?
Well, it's going to be hard to go past the Baggers fan that Richo's probably come across. But yeah, Jagger Smith, I think he's going to be on everyone's lips for the first half of the year and, on what he's doing out there in the game. But this is going to be a similar impact to what Nick Daicos had at the Pies early days, I reckon.
Yeah, I think Jagger Smith's going to be a player that just comes in and plays the way he does for the next 200 games. A bit like sort of Sam Walsh came in all those years ago for the Blues, and obviously Nick. I think Nick's next level. I'm not calling Jagger anywhere Nick Daicos yet, but similar impact. Just come in and play well every week, and that wins you the Rising Star.
Can I give you one? Leo Lombard.
Lombard,
Flip
he
on
looked
Leo
good.
Lombard as a potential Rising Star winner this year.
Yeah,
Right?
beautiful.
We'll see. And Coleman, as we finish things off.
Where will I go with this? Maybe...
I'll go one before you're thinking. I went Curnow. I think with Goulden and Heaney and Warner putting it inside 50 and the Swans winning a fair few games, I'll have Charlie back in business.
Yeah, well, I'll go stick with Jeremy Cameron again. It's just like one of those ones, Matty, that just continually kicks goals. And I say it off the back of, I think there'll be a lot of goals over the top with this new defence coming up and squeezing up. I think
clever.
that he'll be the last one in line that will hit the scoreboard.
He just loses his opponent up in traffic and just gets him back the other way every time.
Well, we cannot wait. 3AW footy about to start. Richard, I'll be hearing a lot of you. And Joel, thank you very much for joining us. Be listening to 3AW football right throughout 2026. It's going to be a big year.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Matty.